Welcome to Integration on Omni Television. I'm your host, Hodin Nalea. Every week, we take pride in bringing you hot topics and unique discussions that bring the diversity of Canadians together. I'm so excited this week that we're going to be talking about the hijab, what it means, what it symbolizes for women in this society. And right after the break, two panelists are going to join me to talk about the hijab and their journey to the hijab. And we'll have a fruitful discussion about this cloth that many don't know what it means for women in our country. We'll be back right after these messages, right after the break.
Honor your culture, spirituality, and traditions by learning about quality palliative care with livingmyculture.ca.
It's part of our religion, not only the culture, that to take care of our elders.
From Allah we come, and to Allah is our return.
When you say cancer in our community is kind of taboo.
The idea of palliative care is to keep that person comfortable.
Visit livingmyculture.ca.
Welcome back to Integration. Thanks for joining us. I'm so excited today that we're going to be talking about the hijab. And two panelists are joining me to talk about this hot topic for many women across this country. Sometimes it's caused problems in our legal system. Sometimes it's caused some problems for women in terms of self-defense in society, with problems of getting attacked because they wear the hijab. So I thought today we have a frank discussion about what it means to wear the hijab for many women in Canadian society. Joining me is Fatima Noor Mohammed. She is an owner, an entrepreneur in the Mississauga area, and also Nafisa Aziz, who's also a co-owner of a shop they own together called Moda. We'll be talking about the hijab with them. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Hi.
This is a refreshing topic. Nothing that you see on television, right?
No, for sure.
So, Fatima, what is the hijab for you? What is the hijab? Everybody should know. What is the hijab?
The hijab literally means to cover, but it's intended to protect us and protect our modesty, guard our modesty, to allow us to be seen as intellectual beings as opposed to sexual beings. I mean, obviously we're sexual beings, but we don't present that as our first face when we're in society.
The funny thing about when people always used to ask me all the time, because when I started my television career a couple of years ago, I didn't wear the hijab. So many people thought that was fascinating that I now wear the hijab. But I think it's a personal journey for every woman. And as Muslims, like a lot of times, some women feel like they're forced to wear it. They're told to wear it. But I think it's more beautiful when you actually make that decision for yourself and that it's your own personal journey. What do you think about that?
For sure. I feel like I mean, we're so misunderstood by so many people. Many people will assume that we do it because we're being oppressed to do it, and it's shocking when somebody chooses to wear the hijab, and you see the change from the person from not wearing a hijab to wearing the hijab. So where you did it very publicly, many women do that on a daily basis, where they make that personal choice to wear the hijab, but the media and the information out there is about the hijab is usually negative. The conversations talk about how we're oppressed and forced to wear it. But I think that people are really puzzled by it, and this kind of show, this kind of discussion will hopefully make people more aware of why women wear it. And there are many powerful women, many strong women with a voice that choose to wear the hijab for their own reason.
Absolutely. Now, Nafisa, you're from Guyana.
Yes, I am.
In the West Indies. British Guyana?
Yes.
Okay. So what made you, people don't associate Guyana with Muslims. So tell us about that.
There's actually a very large population of Muslims in Guyana, which people don't know. But no one in my family wears hijab. I'm the first one who decided to put it on, and that decision really stemmed from me having my first child, and even finding out that I was having a girl. And I realized that I did not want her to experience the sort of things that I experienced in my childhood and growing up, and be exposed to those negative things in life. And I decided, and it was a struggle, because the first time I put it on, I ended up actually taking it off like 3 times, because it was so hard going back to work and not being included in certain conversations and not being part of the in crowd anymore. So that was very difficult. It was a huge change for me. So those were the reasons why I decided to take it off. But then I realized later on, as she was growing up, she was about maybe a year and a half or two. And I realized she's looking at me. She's got her eyes on me all the time. So what is it that she wants me, what is it that I want her to see, right? I want her to learn all of the good things from me and not the negative things. And that's kind of where my decision came from, to stick with the hijab, learn about what it represents and what it symbolizes in my life and what it means to me. And that's really what it boils down to, really, showing my daughter the right path and the right way.
That's beautiful. Now, Fatima, what I really love that you said is that it doesn't make, the hijab doesn't put sexuality in the forefront of our dealings. And you know, for me, for many years, you know, I tried to work in television. It was so hard because you're always being judged by what you look like, getting hit on by some scum director because of your body, the way you look. And I think for the first time in my life, doing television and deciding to be in this space and doing it on my own terms, it actually made me realize how much of a protection the hijab provides.
Yeah. It creates this barrier where people, they may have certain thoughts, or they may even want to approach you to ask you out, but because you wear the hijab, because you wear the hijab, they know you're not, your mind's not there. So there's no point in even putting that out there. So where you might even appeal to somebody, you might be attracted to somebody, I think it creates this barrier mentally where a guy's not going to really step to you and say, "Hey, cutie," because you're not out there for that. Like, you're not putting yourself out there for that discussion. I'm not here for that. I'm here to have a professional conversation with you. And you choose who you have those dealings with, those personal, intimate conversations with.
Absolutely. So what advice would you tell, you have daughters yourself.
I do.
Tell me about that journey for you. How did you get to wear the hijab? Because you are also from Africa, Tanzania.
Yes.
What was that journey like for you?
Mine was very similar to Nafisa's, where I didn't wear hijab until I was about 24. And before that, I was doing what every other girl growing up in Canada was doing, just having fun and enjoying myself. And when I actually started looking into Islam and what my religion is, I mean, we grew up in a Muslim family, but a lot of the knowledge wasn't there. Like, why are we praying 5 times a day? Why do we do the things that we're doing? When I started to take my religion seriously and start to read and decide, what am I doing? I had questions growing up. I always had questions, but as I started to read into it and look into it, and I started to pray. And I started to pray, I started to feel guilty about the things that I was doing that was wrong. But it wasn't until I found out I was pregnant and I was having a daughter that I thought to myself that this is where I have to make a decision to either to be my best me and represent who I would like to see out of my children. So, and that's not just about the hijab, how I dress, but how you carry yourself, how you deal with people in society, you know, being a responsible citizen, putting myself out there, volunteering and helping and doing the things that I want to see come out of my children. Absolutely. When I found out I was a girl, it was, again, just more, you know, these are kinds of things you want for your children, your daughters. You want them to be protected. And this is, for me, in my opinion, the best way. Because
the ultimate
you
protection.
put it out there where, you know what, I'm not interested in that interaction right now. And it's not something you force, but generally daughters grow up to want to be like their moms.
Yes.
And if you model correctly for your children are going to look up to you and they're going to want to be like your mom. And that's why you see sometimes 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds wearing a hijab. It's not because they're forced, it's because they want to be like their moms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like when you see little girls walking around in high heels, it's because their moms wear high heels every day. So they model what they see. And in the beginning, it's not really at all about oppression. It's just they want to be like the one that they love.
Great. So we're going to continue the conversation about the hijab, and after the break, we'll discuss the challenges that come with once you decide to put the hijab on. We'll be back right after these messages on integration on Omni Television.
Mosaic Dental has been serving the community with over 20 years of experience. Located in the heart of Weston and Lawrence, our dedication to dentistry excellence means you receive the finest care and service. And for a limited time, we are offering a complimentary dental exam for new patients. Contact us today to book your appointment. 416-243-6444. Mosaic Dental. Come share your smile with us.
Welcome back to Integration and Omni Television. Our conversation continues on the hijab. My two panelists are still here, Nafisa and Fatima. Now, Nafisa, right before we went to the break, what I thought was kind of interesting is how emotional you got talking about your journey to the hijab. What made it become so emotional for you?
It was a struggle. You know, it was a struggle all the time. I got a lot of negative feedback from my parents also, from family members. When I would attend, you know, family gatherings and things
Now,
like that.
hold on. Your parents are Muslim?
They are Muslim.
So is that ironic that Muslim parents would give you...
Yes, it is a little bit. Well, I mean, religion is not the first thing that we, you know, are, like as a family, it's not the first thing in our family that we are practicing, right? So it's more of a, when our family get together, it's more of a social gathering to enjoy life sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not a gathering where you thank Allah for being together, and I always looked at that as being strange, because it is because of Him that we are together. Do you know what I mean? And I always tried to explain this to them, and I would always get a negative sort of stare, or, you know, just not a very welcoming.
But do you think that the fact that you put the hijab on makes others people feel less about themselves because they're not that way?
Yes.
They're not doing that?
Absolutely. And
they're Muslims? Is that what it is? Or more about them than yourself, would you say?
I think it has a lot to do with them, you know, because they like, I would get comments about you, or you think you're better than us, or something like that, and I would try to explain that it's not like that. This journey is for me, you know, and I'm just trying to teach what I've learned, and sort of teach my children the right way as well. Every time that I put on the hijab at the beginning, it was when I was maybe out of work and I was praying more, I was reading Quran more. But the moment I stepped into the workplace, I would get this negative feedback from everyone. I would be excluded from certain activities or conversations, and that would make me feel, you know, sort of like an outcast, like I would be left out all the time. So that was a difficult thing for me, where I decided, okay, then this hijab thing is not for me, then I have to take it out. I've got to be integrated. I've got to be part of the culture and things like that. So in that sense, it was a very, very difficult thing.
Now, Fatima, what I find interesting is when she used the word integrated, because a lot of times I know for myself, like I'm a daughter of immigrant parents myself, and we tried so hard to fit in when we were coming here, and we didn't have any, like basically we were uprooted because of war, we just come to a new country. So we kind of lost a lot of our own identities coming to the West, right? Sure. Why do you think people feel like this is a thing where you have to choose between this society and that society? Can it be just an identity that we have?
You know, the thing about Canada is that we can be Canadian and Muslim and look different, because that's the Canadian culture allows for that. People are more accepting and understanding of different beliefs and different practices, right? Not necessarily all the time, but I think for the most part, people are more open-minded. Most of the pushback I got was from people that were the closest to me. Mm-hmm. Outside, I found
it just seems so ironic, right?
Yeah, I found that men would open the door for me more. Mm-hmm. I found that men were really receptive and kind, like more kind. You know, if I was struggling with bags, I found that they would help more and stuff like that. I don't know if that comes from the perception that we're oppressed and they want to take care of me, or if just the gentleman came out in them. I don't know. But
for me, the biggest change the biggest change, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just remember something when you said men do something bad. The biggest change I noticed when I'm driving, people are quick to tell me off if I make a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
When you start, before I didn't wear a hijab, it was like, oh, let's just let her go. But now it's like, you hijab woman, you
this. They think you're from another country automatically, right? Yeah. When things like that happen, people will like, I mean, there's times when I'll be out shopping and people will speak loudly to me because they don't think I can speak English, or they'll ask me what I think of the weather, or, you know, really weird questions like that. Like, how are you enjoying it over here? You know, and that kind of thing, just because they don't understand it.
That's so powerful. Yeah. I even actually experienced, I don't know if you guys ever had this experience, but I was at my son's school one day and I literally had a teacher just ignore me.
Yeah.
And I never
It happens all the
experienced that.
time.
Growing up in the society, never wearing a hijab, always properly speaking English. I never had anyone disrespect me until I started wearing a hijab.
Yeah. Before I wore the hijab, it was the same with me. If somebody told me that people were racist, that people were bigoted, I would never have believed you, because I had every opportunity. If I applied for a job, I'd get it. If I wanted something, I'd get it. Whatever I went for, I got it. The minute I wore the hijab, people fell away from me. When I went and tried out when I went to a job interview, I wouldn't get the same kind of response. When I drop off a resume, you get, we'll call you back. You know, those kind of, you never get these very positive affirmations. And I never would have believed it until I put this scarf. It's just a scarf. And I swear, the closest people in my life, or the people that I thought would be there to support me, those were the ones that fell off. I love that the hijab chooses people like that. Like, I find that the hijab chooses quality people around me. Because those people that stay because they're there for you in the beginning. So whether you put a scarf on, you don't have a scarf on, they're there for you, regardless of the choice you've made.
It's so powerful. Do you find that also?
Oh, absolutely. I was at Joe Fresh the other day, and I needed some help, and I just waved to one of the people who worked there. She just turned around and went the other way.
I never get help at Square One.
Oh, no, never. I get ignored walking into stores. But we're going to continue the conversation because the hijab has also taken on a different meaning, which is people need safety concerns now.
Yes.
So we're going to find out what you're doing about that. We'll be back right after the break to talk about Nafisa's cool gig she's doing to help Muslim women stay safe out there with the hijab on. We'll be back right after these messages on integration.
If you're looking for real Somali food, look no further than Bilal Restaurant. Toronto's hidden secret offers you a cozy, comfortable environment with freshly cooked Somali food. Enjoy your choice of delicious Somali rice, steak chicken, and their specialty of various roasted goat meat. Bilal Restaurant is located at 321 Rexdale Boulevard at Martin Grove. Bilal Restaurant, your place for real Somali food.
Welcome back to Integration Omni Television. I'm your host, Hodin Nalea. My two guests are still here with me talking about the hot topic of the hijab. Nafisa and Fatima have been having a lively discussion about what the journey has meant for them. Now, Nafisa, I thought something really cool about you is the fact that because of personal safety concerns, now you're doing something to help women. What are you doing?
Well, right now we're running a self-defense, martial arts self-defense workshop at MODA. And it's led by a sister by the name of Rayana Dawood, and she is a black belt in martial arts. And so I actually found her at the IMFDF show. That's where she did one of her first sessions. And I invited her to come in to share our workshop workspace with us. And so we run the workshop 2 Saturdays per month. And we're inviting all the sisters from the community to come in and take part in the workshop. It's really meant to empower the sisters, the Muslim sisters in our community, to be able to defend themselves in any kind of scenario, whether it be a physical attack or a verbal attack. All we ask is that each participant brings in a non-perishable food item or new or used clothing item, or even a monetary donation towards the Muslim Welfare Center, and then they're admitted to the class.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Fatima, I know you're more into the hijab fashions, which I love because I've learned a lot about hijabs from you. Do you think it's become like more of a fashion thing than anything now, rather than about the spiritual journey of the hijab?
Sure. Like I said earlier, hijab is such a personal thing, and not everybody's choice to wear the hijab is the same. So some feel more empowered when they're wearing the hijab in a certain way or representing the hijab in a certain way. At the end of the day, the hijab means what it means to me. There's a certain Islamic reason for wearing the hijab, but fashion is kind of the natural thing to go towards. You know, Toronto is a city of fashion, and there are many people growing up now in North America that are born and raised in North America, where fashion is such a big part of our culture. We're growing up in the society, and people may not be wearing hijab for the same reason that it was intended to be worn.
What I find interesting too is that people are kind of breaking a lot of barriers with the hijab, but also are these good barriers? Because there's a lady who now is posing in Playboy who's a hijabi.
Right.
So where do we draw the line in things like this?
You know, it's really difficult to, we're all trying to break into something, where, because the hijab's been such a hindrance where it's held us back from things that we've wanted to do, I guess people, maybe some Muslim sisters are making decisions based on their need or their desire to move forward. For this particular sister who did pose in Playboy, she was fully clothed, of course, but to choose, for me personally, to choose a magazine that has historically been there to oppress women, and then the hijab supposing to be the opposite of that, the opposite of oppression. In fact, it's very liberating, which sounds ironic, but when you wear the hijab, you don't have to worry about your weight, you don't have to worry about your hair day, you don't have to worry about, any of that stuff. You can present yourself to society as a professional woman and not have to worry about how, the extra 10 pounds you have. But to choose a magazine that has been known that this is what it makes its money on, is by oppressing women, and then to put yourself in that place, to maybe reach that forum or those people that may never speak to a hijabi, I don't know if I agree with it. It's a difficult judgment call. I mean, I would never judge anybody for that, because who knows what her reasons were for doing it.
It might be viewed in a positive light as well. Maybe she's trying to reach a different target audience. Maybe she's trying to reach out to them and sort of inviting them to think about what the hijab could possibly mean.
Well, then part of me thinks, like, what's next?
Like, people are looking at the hijab in the way it's not meant to be represent us.
Yeah.
So when you go to the Playboy, do they really care what we have to say? Like,
Right.
the people who are buying that magazine, do they really care why I wear my hijab? Or
Well, now, I mean, people might want to say, like, what is this hijab? Let me read up on it, and you know what I mean? Like, this is same that what happened with 9/11, after, Islam was kind of the forefront of everything. People wanted to know, what is this Islam? Like, let me pick up a book and read up about it and find out. And that's how a lot of conversions have come about, right? So
But they didn't choose somebody like you or me or Hodan to represent them. They chose someone who's posing with her legs open and her mouth all in.
Yeah, that I don't agree with. Absolutely.
Like her, I don't feel like it was about the hijab. I don't feel like it added to my cause as a Muslim woman. I feel like it adds to the confusion, most definitely.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, what's next? A hijabi stripper?
Yeah,
it's an oxymoron, these things, And I think one of the things that I've learned about the hijab, it is a personal journey, but it's also a religious one.
Oh yeah, you're representing every Muslim woman.
Absolutely.
And when I'm out there, I'm very aware of that, and I think that the piece of cloth on your head, when someone swears at me or acts to me in a certain way, people look at my reaction. They don't know what happened to me before I reacted. They don't realize that guy just told me to go back to where I came from. But they look at my reaction. If I lose my mind, I'm going to look like the crazy hijabi lady, right?
But now more than ever, I think when someone looks at you, they're not just looking at you, they're looking at Islam.
Every Muslim woman.
They're looking at the entire population of Muslims.
There's times I've wanted to tell people off, and I stop myself because I know I'm going to be like,
I need to be reserved. I have to be, like, I have to have my dignity. You be an idiot if you need to be, and I'm going to represent myself the way I'm supposed to. Because you are, whether you like it or not, you are representing a Muslim woman. So this girl who posed in Playboy, she doesn't represent me. But she is representing me. People are looking at her, then they're looking at me, and now they're confused.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you, ladies, both of you, for joining me for this lively discussion. I think it's important that everybody understands what the hijab symbolizes because it's an important education tool for a lot of women out there. And for every woman out there that struggles with it, we wish you, I would say, love and compassion because it's not an easy journey. But I promise you, if you decide to wear it, which as a Muslim woman, for me, is actually one of the most beautiful things that ever happened in my life. Thank you so much for joining us on Integration TV. You can continue the conversation with us online, on YouTube, on Twitter, and Facebook, as we always bring you the hottest topics with Canadians and diversity. Thank you.